Welcome back. We were just sorting out some tech issues over on our side, and we're back into it. Mirage versus 100 Thieves next, as promised. Ibras, you're alongside me, myself, TJ, as we get into the game. And I'd like you to talk me through our draft. We never really got a moment to conclude it, but I think it's safe to say we both like 100 Thieves draft a lot here, and the only hope for Mirage is that bot lane of Asilian.
I mean, you've already invested in an AP Lulu mid, which is basically just a steroid for the Aphelios to pop off harder on, but we touched on the fact that Zoe Ezreal so good at the sieging, so good at damaging you from 2 screens away, that the Aphelios will have a really difficult time at actually getting in range to auto-attack and actually playing the game.
I think the spin for this, though, is this is exactly what we said Mirage had to do. We, from moment one of our prep, said Mirage need to build their entire game plan through Asilian.
TJ.
They need to be full investing in him.
I saw this team pick Twitch with no Lulu in the game for Asilian because they were like, we really need to get him a hyper carry like a week ago. So yeah, definitely is going to be the AD carry that will be the focal point of this roster and will be the focal point of this game yet again. Invade!
Oh my god. All of 100X are here. Auto on the Blitzcrank. Keep an eye on him as this fight begins. If he can grab Asilian, and this may get real dangerous. The push for the red buff. Oh, Kenvi does not get it. He'll be able to secure it. Actually, Kenvi down to half HP here. Auto may have to blow the flash. He does to get over the wall, but he'll spend the hook. Chasing in everyone else. Mist follows right over the wall, and he on to arrive. First blood to Mirage, and that's onto Asilian as well. Auto shut down Asilian with an early injection of gold.
Yeah, very early aggression from both sides here, but also look at the top lane. Tenacity stacking up the passive, using the Q for the reset on the Blaze Surge, and just getting on top of Tony Top. Aurelia does very well. Okay,
what
another
is this
coordinated
mess?
invade.
I like it. Okay, they're going in to try and get another buff back. Very aggressive from Mirage. We're going to need a replay of what this chaos was.
Why did Kenvi sit there?
Oh, I don't know. Good attempt at the dodge. He's just gone, though. Oh, my God.
All right. I guess. I was like, okay,
Mirage
top
couldn't
lane.
have asked for a better start. It was...
Exactly.
You could not paint a better start to the game than this.
100X just kind of sealing their own fate on that one. Honestly, I wanted so badly to talk about top lane because Aurelia flourishes into range tops when she gets her resets on the Q, stacks up on the passive. Kennen with Doran's play to start with, fairly standard. You auto-attack, you have a good time in that. Your adaptive force is AD, so you can do more damage there. But yeah, just top lane I have no time to talk about because we have so much action happening across the map right now.
Rafa and the lads mocked me for my faith in Mirage. They didn't predict this with their smart strategy guides, did they?
I mean, neither
They
did
didn't
you,
calculate
considering you
this
said
on the
2-0.
stock market.
And it's already that they're 0-1 down.
They're about to win this game so hard, you're going to forget the first one. They're about to shatter 100 Thieves next and take us all the way to Game 3 before you even notice the Game 2's gone, Ibras.
I mean, we spoke about the fact that this Rek'Sai and Thresh live and die by their early games. They very easily die repeatedly after forcing too many plays, but this is a play you want to force.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm goofing off, obviously. This game isn't over yet, but 100 Thieves next are at a big deficit. If Mirage want to compound that deficit, they need to keep forcing what Asilian has already gotten. They want to use the fact that Asilian's off to an early lead, shove that lane as hard as possible, and rely on him to carry their late game. If 100 Thieves next want to shut down this game, I'm looking towards top, which is relatively unaffected by all these shenanigans, and maybe if Kenvi can get, not necessarily back into this game, but stop the bleeding, because Yami's just bullying his camps right now.
Yeah, and you see that the Graves actually just recalled here on the map, and that will mean that we do see, pretty free dive down the bot lane.
Mist almost died there. That would have been awkward. Mist will survive the experience. Asilian did find a decent amount of damage, so with the Infernum, this wave shove is going to continue, but it's all gone, Kenvi. There's just one little dog left.
Yeah, you get counter jungled when you fall behind. Who knew? And suddenly Kenvi, the king of 3 buffing enemy junglers, gets 3 buffed, gets knocked out of it, and suddenly this is looking like a fairly daunting prospect for the 100 Thieves next jungler, trying to farm up to that, kind of later stage of the game. Fortunately, Graves does farm up a storm.
Oh my god.
But still, yeah, Robbie Bob dealing a significant chunk of damage.
Copy is getting blown up in this mid lane matchup. And I don't think we predicted or expected that, but take a look at the CS differential between them.
Yeah, Lulu always been that kind of early game lane bully that transitions into not really doing much is the issue. Just because she's not as reliable as some of the other DPS mages. She's not got too much burst. Like her EQ can do about solid 30-40% of someone's health. Unless she gets really big come the mid game, which doesn't seem to be the case. And again, we're still looking at Asilian as being that hero of this Mirage lineup. However, Hyami and Mist on this Thresh as well. They needed good early games, and so far, they've had a fantastic start to this game.
Yeah, no, everything has gone Mirage's way. They rolled nat 20s on all the most outside chances possible. And if I'm not mistaken, Hyami is setting up here for a pretty major gank operation down bottom.
Yeah,
they thought they had an inkling on... Oh! Last cone in, this turret plating's just gone. Eon, thankfully, has the awareness to know he's got to be playing back here, but that's yet more gold into the pocket of Asilian here, who really, really is getting ahead in a series that is all about, a game that is all about getting Asilian ahead. He has gotten that condition.
Yeah, all the makings of a bot lane dive were there, but unfortunately, no real commitment.
The bot lane.
And as soon as the Rek'Sai shows, it leaves Kenvi up to go for a counter jungle if he so wishes.
What are you
There's
doing?
a level 6 Rek'Sai near you.
What are you doing,
you want this?
Okay, Mist goes in, down to half HP. They've got the turn. Eon blown up by Hyami. Will be able to disengage. Asilian's here. Watch that TP. That's all the way from base. And it will be Tenacity arriving onto Hyami. Blade, oh, it's spent the stun. Ulti in. Hyami's barely alive. Mist surely down as well. But Tenacity can't close things out. Asilian finds the kill. Auto, even with the hook, can't survive. And this game just keeps getting better for Mirage.
Sorry, Auto with the flash hook in there. No way out for the Blitzcrank. No real turnaround there. They tried to make Tenacity's commitment worth it, and suddenly this top lane wave crashing, this top lane lead destroyed, and suddenly 100 Thieves in their desperation just fall apart. This Rek'Sai not quite level 6. I said she was level 6, not level 6, but still more than enough to give Yeon a run for his money at this point.
There's a lot of things wrong with that play, because Auto should know that's bait, but also I don't think Hyami was enough for Mirage to be running that as bait, because that very easily could have gone wrong. But then also it doesn't, because 100 Thieves keep making more and more mistakes, compounding everything after they initially win the exchange.
Yeah, Tenacity commits super hard, Auto commits super hard, and 100 Thieves, that trademark kind of gentle throw that they do from getting too overconfident, too cocky, too greedy come mid-game has actually happened fairly early into stages of this one. And honestly, the earlier that throw happens, the more difficult it is to claw your way back from it.
An underhanded toss forward, and Mirage catch it. I'm not sure how that tracks with a softball analogy, because normally you throw to a batter, but Kenvi is getting caught out again. He'll have to flash over the wall to stay alive, but he does manage to dodge the full storm. Tenacity unable to connect.
Yeah, honestly, the rotation for the Herald was nice, but at the same time, notice how underleveled key members of Mirage are. Yes, they're coming out ahead in terms of these skirmishes, but at the same time, they're not farming quite as well, they're not getting as much experience as you'd maybe want. And even though Kenvi was down earlier, he's certainly in a fine position now, and that does mean that we're starting to see 100X actually slowly begin to pull things back.
Bot lane, keep your eye on Asilian. If he's ever left alone like he is right now, that's a danger point. Mirage are relying on him to be the late game damage if this game keeps going.
Yeah, Yeon now just holding his own. No real dive threat onto an Ezreal at this stage of the game. The very, very safe and reliable and still pretty threatening bot lane of Aphelios Thresh can do their own thing. But what I do like about the Ezreal is that he's safe enough to leave in isolation while Blitz does go for a roam. but said roams and them not really working out are why Auto only just dinged level 5 10 minutes into the game.
Here's Kenvi. The cutoff. This could be huge. If they shut down Asilian here, a lot of what happened early is already gone, but the lantern's so good. And Asilian wants the turn, but Vigil will land. And that's big damage. Kenvi barely survives the engagement. Mist will go down, but it is his heroic play that keeps Asilian up.
Yeah, almost the turnaround coming through onto the bot lane of 100 Thieves there, but fortunately Asilian couldn't really find the follow-up damage. And now you're seeing Tony Top actually being a little bit respectful top lane, backing off, letting it shove into him, because he knows for a fact that with Kenvi showing bot lane, Tenacity now knows that, you know, maybe Hiyami's trying to shadow the Graves, maybe Hiyami's trying to, you know, do full damage recovery, and they actually have full information of where this Rek'Sai was, so the Aurelia could play pretty freely up top.
It is... Oh, I'll hold this thought, because we do have a Drake coming on. Hiyami lurking, Mist going really far forward here. Death Sentence will go wide.
Teleport.
Asilian's here, Hiyami in, steals the Drake! 100 Thieves lose the Ocean Drake, and they lose 2 more afterwards. Kenvi and Auto instantly gone. And just like that, it is another fight to Mirage.
Poppy and Yeon on the back of that, coming out alive, and that is such an issue with this composition, is that their siege is insane, their poke is insane, but when it comes down... When you can't poke with the Ezreal, when you can't poke with the Zoe, this is what happens. The enemy team hard engages, they walk up to you, they do their own things, and yet, oh, the Aurelia interrupt onto the cannon was beautiful. That was all you could ask from a Tenacity that has had such an awful game so far.
Tenacity finds the interruption, but it does not save the bottom fight, because all the damage they need is there in the bot lane. Asilian absolutely destroying players. Oh my god. Robbie Pop, surely this is a little bit too far. Auto's there, but he doesn't have the damage to turn that. He'll just leave.
Yeah.
Yet again, the Lulu wins the mid-fight.
Robbie Bob dealing a surprising amount of damage early, and of course Lulu does kind of bully out a lot of your more conventional mid lane picks. As we mentioned though, 100 Thieves do have the onus on a roam, especially since Blitzcrank is pretty much permanently unlocked, given the fact Ezreal can just farm safely. Even gonna rotate that.
Oh my god, he's gonna measure
his skirmish.
He's gonna do it again. Hiyami for the steal gets locked down, this time by Auto, stunned up, but he shreds Auto's HP. Kenvi could die before this Drake is in Smite Rage, and he does! A double kill again for Hiyami. And that Rift Herald will be scooped up. Mirage, I don't know how they keep doing it, but they roll up on another 100 Thieves objective fight, win it, and take the Rift Herald.
A really huge commitment coming through from 100 Thieves there. They didn't have the pressure mid. Poppy had just been sent back by the Lulu, and yet they still commit for it. Really questionable play here, and it continues.
Oh my god, it sure does. Tenacity on his key pick, on his Aurelia, just gets shredded. Lantern's there to keep Asilian safe, and in the meantime, here's Tony Top shoving in the bot lane. 100 Thieves next are behind in game 2 of this series.
Yeah, this Kennen having the split push time of his life right now, of course. Aurelia getting Blade, this recall does mean the 1v1 is super scary. And when you're playing AP Kennen, you're not playing for the split push, you're playing for the team fights, and that's why you see a lot of respect being afforded by this Kennen, who is kind of playing the avoidance game.
Did you see Mist just get 2 people with that play?
Yeah, nice play, nice hook, nice layering of CC, and just really disrespectful from 100 Thieves next. Zoe was in no position to fight. Ezreal was late on the rotation. It was basically Graves and Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank was level 5 until like just now. This is 4 members of Mirage.
Shout out to that Aphelios audio. I don't know how much of that's coming through this stream, but Aphelios with his chakrams is just a mess. There's so many surrogates going everywhere. Asilian may be threatened here in the top lane on that Aphelios. Here comes Auto. This would be big, but Auto's HP is just gone. Oh, the lantern! I do not believe it. He's still down. The Ignite takes him out, but not quietly into the night. Asilian almost gets away and does get a 1-1 trade.
Here's another trade in the bot lane though. Tenacity
doesn't win that. Not any day of the week.
Especially not Wednesday.
No,
which is today.
Especially not this Wednesday, Empress.
All right, just gonna take stock of where we are right now because we said 100 Thieves next. Really oppressive siege. Zoe went ahead, insane. Ezreal went ahead, insane. You're taking a Q for like half your health every couple of seconds. Issue is, when you're behind, they just shrug it off. Thresh suddenly becoming pretty bulky, Rek'Sai just laughing in your face, and we said, these are feast or famine champs. When you're 0 and 2 in the early game, very easy to be 0 and 5 just a couple of minutes later, but they got on the board, they've stayed on the board, and Hyami in particular has looked devastating so far this game.
I'm actually in awe of what a different Mirage this looks like. And all it took was playing to exactly the two things we said they had to do last game. So actually, Abras, both of our brains are gigantic, by the way. Because what do they change coming into game 2? They get an early lead, they play aggressive early, and they play entirely through a Cillian in the bottom lane. And with those two boxes ticked, they're 11-2 up on the best team in NA Amateur.
Yeah, and this is a really good position for Mirage to be in, just because 100 Thieves next comp, by nature, cannot really do much from behind. And as well as that, while Lulu stays ahead, still a champion. When she's even or behind, just an Aphelios steroid. But right now, bullying out Yeon, really doing a number on this Ezreal. And because of the pressure being applied globally by this team, suddenly 100 Thieves may find themselves pushing Drake point.
Oh, a little bit of revenge. Kenby steals the Drake, and that is huge, but he's instantly gone. Auto will find the hook. Sleeping Shot will bubble to follow.
Cillian
finally shut down Hyami, but in the front lines, Mist is shredding Tenacity, and Tenacity goes huge for damage. Auto will chase down the kill left behind, and he will die for it. A sequence of kills ends with a Cillian getting 2. Another big check inside the pocketbook of the Aphelios in the bot lane for Mirage.
And I was going to say, while they're behind, 100 Thieves next can just live and die by a Blitzcrank hook. That time around, not even necessary, just getting Kenvi into the pit. The Smite Steal comes through, feels pretty bad for Hyami, and yet the fight is still fine for Mirage, really lending a lot of credence towards the lead they built for themselves leading up to that one. Auto on the Blitzcrank, by the way, living up to the Thresh Rek'Sai destiny that I was saying, where, you know, if they struggle early, very easy to go from 0-2 to 1-6 in this case, in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's been a rough game for Auto because he keeps hooking people in and then they hurt. Like he had that fight earlier where he brought in Cillian and you're like, great, grab the AD carry. And then he just gets nuked by a Cillian. Same thing happened with Hyami.
Yeah, I do want to touch on, by the way, we got shown the vision score by producer Joe and the rest of the team, the vision map rather, and that is especially crucial when you consider the fact we have two very, very pick-centric supports. Thresh Hook, Blitzcrank Hook, you'll see them just actively fish for vision denial time and time again, just to really hammer home that you're looking to threaten with a stray Q. Here's Kenvi actually with no real vision because of the pink ward, going by instinct, saying, look, now's a good time to commit, gets in there. Smoke screen down to the Smite is a little bit scarier to actually commit for from Hyami, and yeah, 100 Thieves, they get the Drake, but they lose a lot for it.
Man, the damage Tenacity just did in that fight as Aurelia, though, I was not ready for that. like, if they're not behind, Tenacity just ends the fight there.
Yeah, the Aurelia does significant amount of damage right now. High Noon Aurelia, by the way, you saw by that angelic-themed recall. I don't know why the High Noon skin has an angelic-themed recall, but it does. Fun fact for you, TJ. I used to one-trick old Aurelia in Season 5.
Really?
Yeah, and Season 4.
I thought you were a Rumble main. How do you go from Rumble to...
Well, the reason why I'm a Rumble main is because Rumble has stayed the same since Season 1. Oh, Aurelia changed, so I left Aurelia behind. Kind of tragic, but yeah.
Vanguard's Edge was just blown there in the bot lane, changing the status of her ultimate.
Right, that's absolutely fine, by the way, because, yeah, not only do you use the ultimate, you use your flash, but that's okay, because you get the Kennen's flash, and suddenly Kennen, much more difficult of a time actually navigating these team fights, and of course, we said time and time again, AP Kennen, he's all about the team fights, and Mirage are all about the siege.
Yep, that Rift Herald was just scooped up by Mirage, they're not patient with it. Throw it down inside the mid lane, grab a turret and a half for free.
Ezreal Zoe, phenomenal at sieging, phenomenal at pressuring their leads when ahead, but when behind, when threatened with a big dive onto them from the Rek'Sai, from the Kennen. By the way, Kennen, kind of blare because you're running against someone who has a signature Aurelia, but at the same time, you're not picking for lane, you're picking so that the carries that 100 Thieves had locked in prior to that in the Ezreal and the Zoe can't play the game. They're immobile, they like to sit back, they like to poke, so you get in their faces with a Proto Belt slicing Maelstrom, and suddenly this one-sided game becomes even more of a tall order for the 100 Thieves carries to navigate in particular.
And Tony Top has delivered. The one major team fight slicing Maelstrom he's had the opportunity to was in that fight versus the Kenvi steal, where he, like, obliterated 2-3 people.
Yeah, and while these Thresh hooks aren't quite as devastating as the Rocket Grab, it's still a nice heat map to play around if you are Mystic. Because you can just drop the Qs, find backline access. Nice.
Very cool.
Easy money.
And then he turned back around
Very
because
cool.
he had to get the red buff. It is optimal play. It's optimized speedrunning strats.
Yep,
the speedrun is, of course, towards this Drake, which will be coming up. It is 21 seconds on the Mountain Drake that would put Mirage on sole points should they pick it up. So they'd obviously like to have that extra little bit of pressure hanging over 100 Thieves next and their heads, but it is only a Mountain Drake. I think 100x if they have to choose a soul for Mirage to get. Probably the Mountain Soul.
Yeah, could actually see 100 Thieves try and force a Baron play off of this. They have solid DPS. Instead, just going to try and fish for Robbie!
They get him! Robbie's assassinated, and that's exactly what 100 Thieves had to do, especially again with this Drake just coming up. Mist is going to get blown down to half HP by a single Paddle Star, and start to worry now as Tenacity is coming from the back line, and the Vanguard's edge does land. It's a second good hook from Auto, and a second good kill to 100 Thieves next. There's the flash in though, the slicing Maelstrom is huge, and Yami will pick up a single kill. Tenacity down, the rest of the team wants more. Asilian's chasing, he'll grab Auto as well, and Mirage have turned another fight. It's still 2v3, but Copy's got nothing left, and he's chained down for Asilian to finish off. Oh my lord, ER finally stops the man, but at what cost? As they have lost everything on the map. It is a 1v1 here by the Drake pit.
And the Aphelios turret almost takes down the Ezreal to really cement the cherry on top of the 200-year-old cake. Really clean fight coming out from both ends, but it is 100 Thieves that we have to credit there for turning it around so convincingly after being so far behind. Robin Bob, I don't know why he's there. Maybe he's like, oh no, they might rush Baron or a Drake. Walk into Fog of War against the Blitzcrank and have that not happen to you. That is more surprising than that actually happening. This TP flank was nice, but look at the mountain terrain. The mountain terrain actually kept the Aphelios from moving up for quite some time. Look at that mild inconvenience from the Summoner's Rift RNG, really preventing Sicilian from getting in there. But he finds his way eventually, and
but
yeah, they steamroll through it. Yeah, eventually.
Get in here he did, because these next, like, 10 seconds are pure Aphelios bliss. Shouting out to everyone who wants to take this clip and capture it 200 years. Because, oh my god, was it solid.
Doing well there. Actually, that was all Tony Top, by the way. We do say Asilian did a lot of work, but Tony Top really hammered that one home. Especially considering the cannon. No flash. No flash in that fight. Of course, had it full spotlight by Tenacity. So,
oh my god.
Okay.
Okay, so reset. 100x are not that far behind anymore, right? You're starting to worry. Because Copy's gotten big damage on a lot of these fights. Auto, that means now is more of a threat. Because with Kenvi and Copy both doing like actual real person damage now, every time Auto lands a hook, that player is dead. And that means that a whole lot of zoning is walled off, although the memo's not passed over to Yami, who chases a kill, gets shut down. Tony's got another good slicing Maelstrom. Stun will land onto Eon, who's incredibly low, and Tony's forced into stasis, as it does not quite find the kill. He's instantly slept. Tenacity shuts him down, and Tenacity manages to get away as well. In the meantime, Robbie tries to flash over the wall, and he's caught out as well. 100 Thieves are back in it, Ibras. 100 Thieves will go for the Baron.
Yeah, the Blitz E Auto followed the flash, and that lined up for a perfect Q. Auto threads it again finding rocket grab after rocket grab. And again, we're seeing Mirage opt to face check into a comp that has a Zoe, has a Blitz, has such prominent pick potential, and it blows up in their face. And honestly, I don't know what you're expecting here. Why are you playing like that instead of securing mid-push and then rotating as a 5-man? They can't fight you head-on. This is a pick. This is a poke comp. Stop letting them pick and poke you.
And they didn't. Mirage get poked down, tickled into submission here. Now the gold lead is actually over to 100 at Thieves. The Baron is in their hand. It's sure to get worse. Have they thrown it all away, Abriz?
Well, time will indeed tell. Largely based on what 100 Thieves can actually do with this gold lead. I keep thinking 100 Thieves are on blue side, by the way, because it feels like they're always on that side of the map, getting a flank, getting the priority.
Did you just see Kenby steal away all of those raptors?
Ulting for it, but hey, it's on the low cooldown. You have Blade, you have your Umbral Glaive, fish for more vision control in favor of the Blitzcrank, and Kenby and also rough early game to say the very least, still seems to be paying off right now. And once the Ezreal and Zoe get into good positions again, it means Aphelios' 1v9 potential severely hampered, as he is going to be mowed down from 2 screens away.
Kenby, by the way, incredible that he's gotten back into this game, but we don't call him the best player in NA Amateur lightly.
You call him
compete. You're right. I should take a little more ownership of that, but I'll call him that any day of the week. He'll still have to compete versus many others. I think Fire on Anu is up there in terms of just being a star player. Asilian also in that conversation, though he hasn't had much opportunity to show it this game.
Cannon TP, Tony Top is here. He's looking for the Slicing Maelstrom.
Auto and copy. Aware of it. It's warded. Tony blows the TP and gets nothing for it. Absolutely nothing.
Alright, safe to say Tony Top is not in contention for best amateur player. But hey, I like him. He's doing well. Nice cannon play.
You can't say that!
I was going to say 07919700214 is perhaps, you know, next on the board for that one, but yeah. I saw it and I took it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Tony Top. You played this one well, actually, and I do appreciate a good carry. Blue side
He's
vision.
trying not to do it now. He's trying to be like, oh, I really like Tony Top, honestly. Some of my best friends are Tony Top.
It will. Yeah, red side vision gonna be pretty scary to play into here, and well, if you know time has told anything, it's that Mirage aren't really respectful of the fact that they are face checking into Ezreal, Zoe, Blitzcrank. Any one of these members connecting Q onto either half of your health or
Producer Joe flying out the stats graphic, and Tony Top has been fired this game. Want to throw that out there. Been a very, very good part of the team this game. Mirage benefiting massively from his presence, particularly versus Tenacity on Aurelia, who has been almost a non-factor in a game he was supposed to dominate. Here is the Drake. Mountain coming up, Ibris.
Yeah, Mountain Soul going to be on the board for Mirage. No actual carries on, no actual tanks on the squad. Plenty of carries. Well, actually just 2 carries, but hey. So yeah, no real benefit from that, and they don't want to face check until afterwards.
Oh my god, does land the death sentence. Kenby just goes into stasis. I don't know that that saves him. He'll flash away and still get picked up. That is a major kill.
I'm not actually sure how Mirage knew that auto was resetting on the Blitzcrank, but they knew enough to really full commit for that. No, they didn't get the Drake, no, they didn't get the Soul, but they get a pick onto Kenby, buy themselves a little bit more time, and actually start to outlast, I was going to say the Baron buff, but that's just the...
Okay, well, let's have that conversation.
Is that Mist?
Yes, Mist previously was tagged as I will find you, but it's very intimidating.
Big Fresh plays, but now he's returning to base to buy something, because he... No, he's giving a lantern.
Oh no, he's waiting. He's waiting because he's got a lantern out because you got to have those top tier strats.
Why would you do that? Why would you willingly give 30 seconds of potential vision control to lantern the guy with home guard out of base?
Okay, let's have the conversation we had before we were distracted by Mist. Everest, I'm gonna take you off this sidetrack real fast.
Okay, go.
Let's talk like game scaling. Mirage do have Aphelios, they do have Tony Top on that cannon in the top lane. Does that make up for what they have to play into with the Graves in particular?
So I think that the mixed damage portfolio is nice, considering Lulu's basically a secondary support, so having the AP cannon, pretty good. A lot of valid carry threats, unfortunately, past 25 minutes. Rek'Sai isn't really one of them, and when she's got so much of your gold, so many of your kills, we're now still looking at that kind of theorized late game of, 45 minutes plus where Aphelios is the only carry, but it's happened 15 minutes earlier, and we're still in a pretty rough position for Mirage, regardless of how beautiful their early game was.
So, I'd like to see whether or not they can make these things, these late game plays happen. Oh my god, that death sentence almost landed. Sleep will instead, though, and Asilian and Co have to do the paddle star dance. Asilian goes in. He says, hold back my own initiation, and by God he does! Chasing down Kenny, Blitzcrank hook, Wild Growth keeps him alive, the lad turns out, Asilian still lives, and Kenny's got a sliver of HP, Asilian would like to go back in, and he'll lose his support as a result. Tony Top's in trouble, does spend the slice of Maelstrom just to stay alive, that's damage on his capacities, but he's forced into stasis. Tony Top's down as well, and now this looks awful. Everything that started so strong gets undone. Hiame cleaned up as well, and ace for 100 Thieves next. And they look to answer back to a strong early game with Mirage, with a nail in the coffin at the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, Cillian getting a little bit full of himself there, really feeling it on the Aphelios. Finds backline access, can't shut down anyone, and he's commit so deep, so hard. Thresh dies for him, Lulu uses everything on him, and by the time Tony Top's in there, it's a one-man slicing Maelstrom, it's a Rek'Sai doing absolutely nothing, and it's a fight that Mirage lose.
A last-ditch effort from 100 Thieves next brings them back into the game, fight after fight after fight, and we said it, you couldn't have asked for a better early game for Mirage, but they didn't manage to close it out. And it stands to reason that 100 Thieves next, you go back to the lockers, you end that early game at such a deficit, and the mentality and communication to bring them back into that game, that has to be the story coming out. We've seen 100 Thieves next win game after game after game. We haven't seen them have to do that very often. We haven't seen them have to play from behind. And it's very exciting that they managed to do it.
Yeah, really promising that they did it with such a composition that was actually pretty difficult to execute from behind as well. Granted, the Ezreal and Zoe were doing fine themselves, but these are champions that really do thrive through getting a lead and just building off of it through consistent DPS from a distance. All credit to Mirage for the early game. Unfortunately, didn't quite see that Mirage/TJ's predictions redemption arc actually come full swing there. 100 Thieves next just shutting down everything, including your boy Tony Top up in the top lane.
He was real good that game.
Yeah, he was good on the cannon. That one interrupted TP in lane was kind of clumsy, but it was an out of mana Aurelia by any means. Yeah. Honestly, I think Mirage had all the tools to win that. They just face checked it in opportune moments, kind of made some weird decisions, not necessarily awful ones, just really poorly timed ones. And I think their vision control just really started to bleed out once the Umbral Glaive was completed for Kenvi again.
100 next out of the quarterfinals. They advance to the playoffs. Of course, we will have another day of quarterfinals tomorrow, so be sure to tune into that same time, same place. Kangas, Coco, myself, and Ibras will be back alongside Rafa and the lads for another spicy day of games. We'll see who all these teams have to play into. Here are your stats, Ibras, from the end of that game, and can I say Asilian's name anymore?
Yeah, we identified it back in Champ Select. You basically picked the Lulu as a secondary support for this Aphelios. You have a Rek'Sai, very hit or miss. Granted, Tony Top did his thing, tried to find backline access, but that nail in the coffin that you mentioned, that final team fight, only found tenacity, didn't do a whole lot of damage, and you're basically, again, live and die by the Aphelios, who did indeed have a lot committed to him at the start of that for no real gain.
Ibras, you've had your first exposure. You're going to be with us through the semi-finals here in Challengers Uprising. How do you feel about 100 next?
All right, I was pretty happy that they managed to turn that one around, but unfortunately, no lull state that game for me to draw on the minimap. Yeah, I'm running out of time.
He's counting down.
It was a
Producer
good
Joe
time.
says we have to
All right.
go.
We
got
fun.
a desk running ahead of us. You've been great. Thank you so much for joining us. More challenges Uprising tomorrow. For now, thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, TJ and Ibris. And my goodness, there's a lot to unpack there for both teams there. Mainly Mirage, because that's definitely a tilter for them to go out with a huge lead like that. But before we get further into the game, let's start from the ground up once again, gentlemen. Cubby, you were very adamant that you would have preferred a Rek'Sai in the draft for Mirage. Well, you got your wish, Cubby.
Yeah, and I think that's a pick that would have surprised a lot of people, but I think Hiyami kind of proved why I was saying that this time around, because he is really good on that champion. And as I look across the board, it feels like a lot of these teams just kind of took their favorite champions. Like, I look at 100 Thieves next, and I think Kenvi is best on Kindred, but Graves is definitely his second best, and Copy is always on Zoe duty. Tenacity has an Aurelia only account. Yawn is a great Ezreal player, and I think Otto is a fantastic blitz, and he really showed it in this one. Meanwhile, on Mirage, you have Rek'Sai in the jungle, Mist on his Thresh, and you have a Cillian on his Aphelios, and it was kind of fun watching these teams go toe-to-toe, but eventually the lack of clean engages that Mirage were able to pull off and to really effectively snowball this game, they stopped coming on through, and if you aren't able to engage onto a comp with a Zoe, with an Ezreal, and props to 100 Thieves next too, because they did such a good job of setting up traps. Like the pick onto Robbie Bob around the 21-minute mark has really cracked the game open for them, and they forced so hard off of that just single kill. Mirage just couldn't keep the snowball going, and it's too bad because Hiyami, man, what an early game this guy had.
Yeah. Crazy early game from the entire team of Mirage. Well, except for top, top lane's an island, whatever. But Yami was topping off super, super hard on this Rek'Sai. You could see just what the strength of that champion is in all of his early plays. And we were biting our nails. We were like, oh no, that level 1 play when the Blitzcrank comes in on the late invade and they get into the bush unseen, and then it all goes kaput for 100 next. They lose 2 kills. They don't get the red buff. And at that point, things were looking really, really solid for Mirage. Yeah. Like Cubby said, they have that Rek'Sai to snowball the game from there. But, speaking of you, Cubby, the entire time we were watching that game, you were like, nope, I've seen 100 next win these. I think they can still do it. And we get to a point where Rek'Sai, no matter how much you snowball, at 20 minutes, you're still Rek'Sai, and you're going to get outscaled so hard, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, first off, to be fair, I was also saying that about LVGN in Game 1 today. That didn't happen, all right? So I kind of got lucky with this one. This one comes through. So thanks for making me look good, Smacks, but I'll kind of blame myself there a little bit as well. But coming from, a support background and a coaching background, there comes a point in the game where if Rek'Sai missteps once or twice, it becomes impossible, and it's so hard to play Rek'Sai into a champion like Blitzcrank. I thought Blitzcrank was a great pick this game for Otto. Yeah. It's good into Thresh. You can pressure the Aphelios, and also it's such a counter to Rek'Sai because if you tunnel in, it can get interrupted, right? You get into a fight, you get silenced, you can't crack your ultimate, which also gives you that invulnerability and allows you to assassinate someone. And I thought Otto played fantastic this game, notably in that last fight. I know that we're going to have replays sooner than later, but I want you guys to keep your eyes out, and I'll talk about it. He landed 2 blitz hooks on the Aphelios in that last fight that won them the game, got them the clean ace. I thought Blitz was a fantastic pick, and it was all off the back of the pick he had on the Lulu. It was a great setup from 100 Thieves next. And from there, it's amazing watching how hard this team presses because they instantly just snapped on a finger. I think Tenacity flash ulted. They tried to find the perfect fight, and they ended up forcing it, pulling things off, and slowly got themselves back into the game and found themselves a win.
And I want to jump in here and try to elaborate on a point that, I want to give credit where credit is due. The Blitzcrank for Otto was fantastic. It wasn't so fantastic in the early game, however, but, moments like these where the Assylian is routed out, is locked down, even despite the wild growth coming in from Robbie Bob and the Shields.
Oh.
100 Thieves, there's something that has to be
comes up number
said
2.
about Copy and Yon this game, because when we look at Kenvi and Tenacity, usually the ones that are like very volatile and they're usually on the positive side of things, they were super far behind this game thanks to the efforts of Hayami being able to snowball so incredibly out of control. So when Blitzcrank makes these picks and tries to put the game back in their hands, you need to make sure that you have damage dealers that are backing you up. And anytime Otto was with Kenvi or Tenacity, things did not work out too well in 100 Thieves' favor. But once Yon and Copy, who were very quiet in the early game, they recognized, you know what, our jungler and top laner are kind of running it down right now. We need to just hold on. We need to wait on our power spikes. And it's so true to the fact that, as you said before, Cubby, these are some of their best, if not their most comfortable champions, and ones that they are really well recognized for. And with all that game time, they understand, you know what, we're waiting on the Luden's Echo and the Oblivion or double penetration. We're looking for the Trinity, the Iceborne Gauntlet and the Muramana. Once that comes in, we can start fighting. And as soon as those items come in, I mean, notice how that's when Otto's looking more opportunistically for these picks to come back into this game here, Smacks.
Yeah.
And when we look at the layer game team fights, I do want to bring up another big point that Cubby mentioned. Mirage just could not find those engages. There was one pivotal moment where it looked like they were about to. It looked like the stars were going to align. And I'm talking, I'm talking about when the Kennen teleport was coming in, and they tried their hardest to get it down. You could see it right over there. The teleport is coming in. Kennen has all the things.
This
in his
was
favor.
the good one. Yeah.
Oh my. Well, yeah, this was the good one actually.
Yeah,
right.
this one's the fight. You're talking about the one that came in later, mid around like the 25 minute mark, where they couldn't find anything. The TP after this one, I mean, that's like really their engage, right? Because if they aren't able to engage like that, Blitzcrank can just pressure every single grouping that Mirage tries to pull off. And if you land any poke with Zoe or Ezreal, take out those health bars, Auto, pop that Righteous Glory, start running out the team. And we saw how many picks he found on some immobile characters, right? Because like Thresh, when he casts that Death Sentence, he can't move. Lulu, when she doesn't have Polymorph up to speed herself up, she can't do anything, right? Asilian, he can't move. Like, you can drop a turret to defend against it, but that's kind of tough. So I think it's really difficult to execute against Blitzcrank. I love the pick coming through, and it was a very close game. But in the end, just wasn't enough for Mirage. And a bummer for them is they find themselves in another tournament where they just get knocked out by 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a team to get knocked out by, it feels the least bad, I guess, against 100 next, because they beat everyone except for Anu yesterday, so they at least have that going for them. But going down 2-0, and after going down 3-0 and winning this early game as well, it feels so rough. And unfortunately for Mirage, they fall in the quarterfinals of Cup. They do not make semis, but you know who does make semis is the favorite 100 next.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Smacks and Cubby, you know, we saw a very valiant attempt from Mirage. They attempted to play from their strengths, mainly in Hayami getting a very snowball, aggressive comfort chip pick here, and Asilian being able to get the Aphelios. But I think, you know, what Mirage have to learn from here is now their final and only chance to earn more qualifier points is going to be through the LWL. And I believe they're still technically in Risen. I'll have to double check that. I know for sure they still have LWL, but being knocked out of Cup means it is one less avenue for them to be able to play through. You know, looking at 100 Thieves next, something that a lot of people that have been willing to criticize, even though 100 Thieves, huge fan base. I mean, we are all pretty much fans of 100 Thieves and how the way they play and how talented these rookies are and how well they're able to just play when they have a lead is when they don't have a lead. And I think a lot of people have been able to, you know, point out, and sometimes they get hushed, you know, when they're winning, because of course it's like, you know, no one's going to notice the criticisms when they're doing well, but when they do bad, then it will always come up. It's just, if 100 Thieves do not get a lead early, how do they play from behind? And I think this is a great exercise and a great time for 100 Thieves to learn how to play from behind. You know, granted, Mirage is not the best team to potentially be practicing against, but it's still practice considering their recent downward trend. Because 100 Thieves, when they were playing against the new last night in UPL, it was a completely different story.
Yeah.
I do one more and one more thing as before I send it your way, Cubby, is for 100 Thieves next, you always need to remember you need to have some type of bedrock, some foundation, so that if you're very volatile jungler or top laner, do not get the snowball that you're used to, that you're always able to say, hey, you know what, guys, let's calm down. Let's just wait on power spikes. This is still winning in our favor. We can always play to that win condition.
Yeah, and that's like one thing that I know I wrote about, like when making my big article about the tier list a few weeks back, is that they're the one team in SGC that have the X factors, right? They have not only the insane mechanical players, especially on the top side of their map, but they also have this ability as a team to play from behind, and it's something that only great teams really show. And yes, this is tier 3 amateur, and maybe they don't get this against Academy or LCS teams, but still down here, they have that X factor where they look so good from behind and have won games that no one else has any business winning. But before we wrap up here, Rafa, I know that we still have some unfinished business to take care of in terms of some of our fantasy picks from earlier today.
Oh, it's funny that you want to bring it up, because I feel like...
I really don't. Lauren's like counting down to my ear, and I got to transition.
You're buddy, because I'm about to give you the pain and basically make you...
Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna have to make
I've
some
tallied all the
TikToks.
points for today, and unfortunately, Cubby, so just to give you guys an understanding, Cubby, you only earned 89.7 points today. You used to be less than a point behind first place. Now you are more than 100 points down. So, Cubby, you have taken a very fat L, and let's go over your picks again. You picked, you had Tenacity, which was, to be fair, your highest point earner.
Oh no.
But the fact that you picked Meech and he only earned you about 12 points total in between both games, I think has set you very well far behind. Whereas, I'm just going to give a shout out to, once again, not only Copy, who you guys all slept on for the 3rd week in a row, picking him 3rd. You guys should consider picking Copy first, by the way, in the future.
I am just
and then, of course,
strategically hinting to get 5 fire tomorrow. That's it. It's a strategic end. 5 fire is my first pick tomorrow.
You've revealed your strategy.
I mean, can you guys
well,
stop
we'll
it?
have to see. We're going to be taking care of their drafts for tomorrow's games. But, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Challenges Uprising broadcast crew and staff and on-air talent, we are so thankful for all of you for tuning in to tonight's wonderful broadcast. We will see you same time here, as always, for tomorrow's set of series games. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening.